disabilities continue to face challenges in the workforce despite progress being made to embrace inclusivity and equal opportunities. Need to improve workplace accessibility. He also stressed the importance of investment in physical modifications and adaptive technologies to support disabled employees. Chin pointed out that PWD often earn less than their able-bodied colleagues, as there are misconceptions about their productivity and health, as well as biases in hiring opportunities.
Our problem is, kita juga menghadapi masalah to make sure to fill up the vacancy, because the OKUs pun now their skill is not that level. So our task is to make sure the skill to be given and the education to be given to the all OKUs pun kita kena fill up. If not, kita tak boleh fill up the vacancies that we provided 1% tu.
Graduates with disabilities face disproportionate barriers in transitioning to employment due to negative employer perception. In Malaysia's commercial sector, where productivity and efficiency are heavily emphasized, this perception results in discriminatory hiring practice. Hello, my name is Nur Shazanani binti Muhammad Nazri, 2024-266432. Today, let me present to you about graduate employer perception of disability and their influence on hiring decision in Malaysia's commercial sector. Graduates with disability continue to face considerable barriers in securing meaningful employment. These barriers are not solely in the attitude and perception of employers, particularly within the commercial sector. Negative stereotypes about graduates with disability skills, productivity, and accommodation need frequently lead to reluctance to employ even when the candidate's qualification match the job criteria. Let's continue to the key impediments to hiring graduates with disabilities. Despite increasing awareness of disability rights, several key impediments continue to hinder the employment of graduates with disabilities in Malaysia commercial sector. Foremost among these is the persistence of negative employer perception, including stereotypes that associate disability with lower productivity, higher cost of accommodations, and limited adaptability to dynamic work environment. This assumption often lead to biased recruitment decision and reluctance to offer meaningful job roles. Another major barrier is the lack of organizational readiness and support structure, such as accessible infrastructure, assistive technologies, and trained personnel to provide accommodations and inclusive onboarding. Many companies also lack formal disability inclusive HR policies or do not operationalize existing national guidelines, leading to inconsistent practices across industries. Furthermore, inadequate training and exposure among hiring managers regarding the capabilities and legal rights of persons with disabilities, PWDs, contribute to uncertainty and hesitation during recruitment. In addition, limited collaboration with universities and disability organizations means that graduates with disability often have minimal access to inclusive career guidance, internship, or job placement support. These systematic and attitudinal barriers collectively reduce the likelihood of equitable hiring and inhibit the career development of an entire group of qualified yet overlooked graduates. Let's continue to the policies and legislation. First, Person with Disabilities Act 2008, which is to protect and promote the right of persons with disabilities in various sectors including employment. Second, National Policy for Persons with Disabilities 2007, which is to promote full participation with PWDs in all aspects of life including employment. And last is Code of Practice for the Employment of Disabled Persons 1991, which is issued by the Department of Social Welfare, to provide voluntary guidelines to employers on hiring and accommodating disabled persons. Next is alternative strategies. To mitigate the negative perception of disability among employers and enhance the inclusion of graduates with disability in Malaysia commercial sector, several alternative strategies can be pursued. First, implementing structured disability awareness and sensitivity training across corporate human resource department can directly challenge stereotypes and increase understanding of the capabilities of persons with disabilities, which is PWDs. Second, the government and industry bodies can introduce incentive-based hiring schemes such as tax rebate, wage subsidies, or public recognition to encourage private sector employers to adopt inclusive hiring practices. Another effective approach is the development of inclusive internship and mentorship programs tailored for disabled graduates, which can serve as both a confidence-building measure for the graduates and a practical exposure opportunity for employers. Additionally, improving the accessibility of recruitment process, including job advertisement, application system, and interview formats, can ensure that candidates with disability can fully participate. Strengthening partnership with disability advocacy groups and the university can also support a smoother transition from education to employment by aligning graduate skill with employer needs and promoting reasonable accommodations. Finally, reviewing and enhancing policy enforcement mechanisms such as expanding the public sector 1% disability employment quota to the private sector can ensure sustained accountability. These strategies collectively can shift organizational mindsets, dismantle systematic barriers, and foster a more inclusive and diverse labor market. Let's continue to the effect arising from negative employer perception of disability. Negative employer perception of disability can lead to significant barriers for persons with disability, which is PWDs, in gaining and maintaining meaningful employment. When employers view disabilities through a lens of limitation rather than potential, it often results in discrimination during recruitment process, reluctance to provide necessary accommodation, and underestimation of the capabilities of PWDs. This is not only deprive individuals of economic opportunities and personal development, but also reinforce social exclusion and dependency. At a broader level, such as bias limit workforce diversity, hinder innovation, and cause employers to miss out on the valuable skills and perspective that persons with disabilities can offer. The cumulative effect is a labor market that remains inequitable and less inclusive, undermining national efforts toward inclusive growth and social justice. For the conclusion, employer perception are a key barrier to employment for graduates with disabilities in Malaysia. While policies exist, their limited enforcement and the persistence of bias hinder real progress. Inclusive training, policy reform, and strategic partnership are vital to shifting perception and enabling equitable participation in the labor market.
The staff here are deaf and consigned. I had to write my order down on this.